Hello, everybody. It's exciting for me to be here. I've been doing this opening panel for this conference for a long time, and have been one of the guys that have been involved in this. Some of you may remember when we used to call ourselves the OVAB. Do you remember that? That goes back to the founding of the association. So welcome. I'd first like to introduce my panel. I'll introduce them one at a time. Their bios should kind of come up as I call them out. First, I'd like to welcome Robert Tass to come on up. Robert, if you'd take this seat. Robert Tass from JPMorgan Chase. Give these guys a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Next, Ed Gold from State Farm. Ed, thank you so much for being part of the panel today. Next, Bob Liodice from the ANA, the CEO of the ANA. So nice of you to come, Bob, after coming off of a fantastic conference. Some of you may have come to Bob's Masters of Marketing conference a few weeks ago. 2,500 people came to Bob's conference, and that conference and what you've done with the ANA, Robert, is just remarkable. And finally, I'd like to welcome Phil Cowdell up to the podium. Phil from Group M, and will represent the agency side of the business. We're going to have some fun. We'll try to keep it moving here today. You'll notice this is an interesting panel in that we have mainly advertisers and marketers and one agency guy. And so this should be interesting as we really get to the root of some of the issues and challenges facing the space, as well as some of the real things that have been accomplished. Before we do that, though, I thought I'd have a little bit of fun. Captivate is sponsoring this panel, and I thought I'm going to pick on three of you who are sitting in this front row to see if I can get you to take some guesses on some things as we set the stage here. Let's see. I'll start with Maury Rogoff. Maury, how are you doing? What percentage do you think of online advertising is not seen? I'll give you some choices. 25%, 50%, 75% of online advertising not seen, according to Adweek. 50%. This is why you're one of the most effective public relations executives in the United States. 50% is correct. Next question. Let's go over here. I don't know your name, but I'm going to ask you the second question. In the last 30 days, how many U.S. adults have seen at least one digital place-based screen, according to a recent Arbitron, of course we now can call them Nielsen, a recent Arbitron study. Now remember, maybe 250 million adults in the United States. What's your guess as to the number of adults who have seen a place-based screen in the last 30 days? Oh, okay. Let's see. We'll go, yes. 50 million, 150 million, or 200 million. Pretty good guess. I didn't even give you the right answer. It's actually 108 million, but you're right, very, very close. Good job. Thank you for being a good sport. So that frames a little bit of our discussion today. And now let's get into this with the panel. Gents, here's how this is going to work. I'm going to ask some questions. I'll direct those questions to you. If not all of you have to answer every question. If you have a point to make and you'd like to add to something, please do. But let's try to get to a lot of questions today. We're also, if we have time, we'll take a few questions from the audience, maybe toward the end of the panel. And then, as is my tradition, we'll do a couple of lightning rounds today. Those are questions that you have no idea what I'm going to ask, and I'm going to try to ask you to answer with either one sentence or even one word answers as we try to get to know you both as people as well as professionals a little bit better. Ed, I'm going to start with you with an interesting question, I think, which is I heard that in 1998, insurance advertising in the United States, there was about $500 million spent in insurance advertising in the United States.
That's
and I
correct.
understand today the total is close to $5 billion.
Yeah, I told you that just like 30 minutes ago. No, it's exactly correct. I mean, when you look at our industry, when you look at auto insurance, which even in 1998 was a 100% mature industry, you're in every state in the U.S. you're required to have auto insurance to drive the car. not that everyone has it, but you should have it. This was a sleepy little category. And now when we look at the advent of the internet and Geico and Progressive and a number of other internet-based people who've tried to make our category into a price-based category versus a value-based category, the spending has gone astronomical. And we do refer to it as an arms race, because even during the economic downturn, our category increased in spending because the story that was being put out there about saving money. And so it's an unbelievable category right now from an advertising standpoint. And yeah, it's getting close to $5 billion, a tenfold increase in 15 years.
And you're on TV, I would think, virtually 52 weeks a year.
Every day, every hour, 365 days a year, and probably twice an hour. The number of GRPs we have going it's a ridiculous amount. And I only say it's a ridiculous amount because my competitors have almost 25 to 50% more GRPs a week than I have. And video is as a medium, whether it's television or wherever, is the way that our category is differentiating itself. I mean, we do have, I hate to say it, some of the best advertising out there. I mean, whether it's the Gecko or whether it's the two singing guys or the Camel for Geico, or whether it's Flo, not saying Flo's great, but she's doing a good job for them, or Mayhem and the Allstate guys, or what we do with Aaron Rodgers or Chris Paul, or yes, the discount double check. It is creating a lot of talk and a lot of visibility for our category. It differentiates our products, and marketing is an extremely important thing what we do, and video helps separate us from the other competition.
What we'll do, fellas, is I'm going to start with, like a good marketing guy, we're going to start at the top of the funnel, and then on some more broad questions, and then we'll work our way closer and closer to digital out-of-home and digital place-based. So let's keep it up kind of in the big picture for a moment, and then work our way down. Robert, what does a digital-first pitch mean to you? I mean, two things I'd also like you to talk about. One is, what does digital-first mean? And then second, you've just completed a global agency review. My understanding is that JPMorgan Chase had 50 digital agencies around the world, and you've just completed a global review. So first, what does digital first mean to you? And then second, what did you learn? You've just completed a global review. You've seen the digital resources of every big holding companies. Give this audience what you learned from one of the biggest and most important new business pitches of the last 6 months.
Well, I think, as you know, David, I've been at JPMorgan Chase about 3 years, and our Chase franchise is one of the largest consumer retail businesses here in the U.S., and seeing the digitization of our category happen so rapidly in front of our eyes, I think that we hinted at, and Barry talked about, the fragmentation of multiple devices in an omni-channel world is making us figure out how to be a digital-first company. We have to go where our customers are. We have to create experiences on multiple platforms. We have to use things like video that allow us to build and tell better stories. We have to use data in a different way. We have to re-architect our marketing department to be able to move faster to support the customers in today's world. And I think our digital agency review was a part of that journey. As you know, we had or have still probably so many different specialty digital firms doing different pieces of our storytelling. We figured that we needed to, one, consolidate to gain some efficiency, but we also needed to work better with them, to go deeper with them so they understood our business better, so that we could build better solutions. And I think what we saw as we went through that review, and we were fortunate to work with the holding companies to see that the space is changing so fast that there's such an opportunity to take a brand like ours and be able to leverage the digital channel more efficiently and more effectively, but that we're all learning in this, and we want to be on the forefront of using technology and innovation to drive our customer experience.
And it's public knowledge, right, that Publicis won your business, right?
They did a
just
great
last
job.
week, right?
Yep.
That's a big win for the guys at Publicis.
They did a great job.
Let's go to you next, Bob. you got people in this room that are part of the video revolution, but it's fair to say, I think, that digital place-based has been a tough sell. Mm-hmm. It's been a tough sell to get marketers to jump aboard this space to the degree that many of people in this room would like to. Where does the marketer sit, in your opinion, in the balance between innovation and risk? You just did this big conference. Does the marketer look at digital place-based as a risk? Where is the balance today between traditional media, in your mind, and new media delivery systems?
Yeah, that's a great question, David. I think where the marketer is right now is in a learning experience for all practical purposes. The marketers are drinking from a fire hose, and they're getting hammered every which way through every new technology. And most importantly, it isn't just about the fact of a particular media form that's out there that they can be exposed to and to be able to reach out to their consumers and their customers with. They've got to figure out how to be able to build their brands with it. And those types of experiences are not necessarily out there for them to be able to rely upon. And they're relying upon their agencies, they're relying upon associations such as this, and they are attempting to accumulate as much knowledge as possible in order to be able to make the right types of decisions for building their brands. Even if you look at the mobile marketing category, it's not that well developed. I mean, everybody's saying how big and broad it is, but from an advertising position, it's not as well developed as one would think it should be. And that's what's taking place, is that from a strategic standpoint, it's understanding how to be able to leverage a particular media form to be able to build their brands and build their results, and then, importantly, how to integrate it across all particular media. So there is no risk, I think, that they're seeing in terms of using digitally place-based media, or any form for that matter, but it's a function of understanding how they can integrate this particular form into their marketing strategy and then get the best outcome possible.
Got it. All right, Phil, now let's start to get to some of the elephants in the room. You think about this group of people, and they call on an agency like Group M, and they are trying to sell digital place-based. And one guy tells them to go see the out-of-home department. The out-of-home department tells the sales guy to go see the digital video guy. And then the digital video guy says, no, actually the budget for this, you really should be going to see the TV guy. And it's basically they're being sent from one department to the other department to the next at big agencies. Where do these screens live at Group M? Where is digital place-based owned?
Well, can I add another dimension? Are they talking to the planner or are they talking to the buyer?
And of course, we didn't even mention that.
So we overlay that across the 4 other departments. You've now got a choice of 8. It's like sort of toss the coin, choose who's you go to see.
Give these guys some advice. What are they supposed to do at Group M?
Well, speaking sort of from Group M, but generally across all the agencies, I think in markets as big as the US, we've got sort of hyper-specialization. So because of the scale and size of the market, we've ended up specializing and have departments and functions. So I'm not even a TV guy, I'm a network TV guy, and I might just be a Fox network TV guy. So this hyper-specialization has really been a manifestation here, and as you saw in the rest of the world, you've got more generalists because of the size of the market. If you think about Lyle Schwartz and how he talks about it, he says it's video, it's audio, or it's image. So where we have to get to is this sort of VAI thing, of saying, let's think about terms of it's video, it's audio, it's image. And the bit I'd add to the 3 of those is each of them have got a small I, and that's not the Irwin, but it's the interaction. And so in effect, video with interaction, audio with interaction, and image with interaction is the way I think we have to think about it. And then there's that point of, well, what's the planner, what's the buyer? If the planner doesn't understand the engagement, there's a disconnect. If the buyer doesn't have the tools to qualify the buy, there's a problem. So what we have to do is really think about the balance of both. But I'd say VAI is the way to think about it. And in the context of this conference, that should be sort of manna from heaven for most people here, because you're not selling a niche, you're selling part of this range of opportunities to provide video.
And how far along are you on that reorganization? It makes a ton of sense, but where are you? You got a big organization. Yep. How long is it going to take to get yourself reoriented that way?
Life's a journey. But the first point I'm a great believer in is know where you're going. And at least if we know where we're going, we can then start to take the steps. I think behaviorally we're there. We haven't done the sort of big announcement of structural change, but I think behaviorally thinking about it, and certainly in the way that Lyle is thinking about how we work in the trading environment, it's a fundamental part of it. So it's part of our day job now. It's not a future thing, this is now.
Hey, David, let me build on that a second, because I think we're hearing a lot about the evolution of what the marketer is attempting to go through. We don't necessarily call it a television strategy or an internet strategy. It's a screen strategy. It's a video strategy. Yep. And when we start taking the broad perspective, and I do appreciate what you're talking about, it is about video in its totality. And then it's a matter about figuring out the appropriate forms to reach their respective audiences. What I love about digitally based media is that it is so targeted. And the ability to zero in on your particular audience and get what it is that you need out of that is a phenomenal advancing in a marketer's ability to reach their respective audience. So I think we're talking less about forms and more about how to be able to reach their consumers. And I think digitally place-based media is the next generation of where marketers are going to be placing their dollars.
Let me push back on that.
Sure.
I mean, you say that, Bob, but yet, you know, the internet, I would argue the online guys are really making the claim that that's the place to go for targeting.
Sure.
Right? I mean, if you think about I would make the argument that traditional TV makes the case for reach, mass reach. All these marketers up here, most of your associations looking for mass distribution and mass reach. But if you think about some of the online people in the audience today, they own targeting. Mm-hmm. They own targeting. So you're saying that digital place-based can be looked at as in your mind, on an equal footing for targeting purposes with online?
Well, yes, because it all depends upon your specific target. Every media provides advantages in specific targets. So it's a question of knowing your audience and knowing how to best reach them. In some targets, it'll be digitally place-based media. Others, it'll be online. Others, it'll be TV. Others, it'll be mobile. What's happening is digital. I mean, everything has become digital. Let's face it. Mm-hmm. There isn't anything that's really analog anymore. But the capability, the broad capability that we now have is so far advanced from where we were just years ago. But it's important that we understand the strategy of being able to reach our respective consumers and facilitating that reach by identifying what media gets you to the target audiences you want.
I think I would just add that context is so critical in our life today, that when I serve which ad has such an important connotation to my customer experience. If I want to reach business professionals in an office building through one of those networks in the elevator every morning with the right message for a business product versus a traveler on an airplane, we have those capabilities today to add to our media mix and planning.
Yep. But where is such a filter? Yeah. Where is an intent? So this idea of location is fundamentally key, and we've got to think of location in a dynamic way versus a fixed way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it is about location. I mean, people watch television primarily in their homes. People are watching digital video. They may be watching it in the office where they have a better connection. They may be watching it at home also. The thing about digital place-based media is the location of where it is. I mean, to Robert's point, if you want to reach business people, elevators and the Captivate network would be your best place to do it, because that's who's going up and down the elevator. That's who works in big, tall office buildings in major cities. If you're looking to reach people who are interested in health, then you're looking at the Health Club network. But the whole idea is that where people are consuming the media makes the difference in, especially in this medium versus the rest of the digital environment, because people can be accessing, websites, and we can be delivering through programmatic buying to no matter where the person is at. It just happens to be there on that device, versus place-based media is what it is. It's placed in a certain place, and that's the environment in which you're going to reach the person.
Let's follow up. We'll get into specifics on screens everywhere in a moment. But you mentioned there's going to be a panel here afterwards, and we can't leave this stage until we talk about programmatic buying a bit, and we talk about display, and we talk about some other things that are involved with it. Let's start with you, Ed. What role, how does display ads online, those squares that are ubiquitous, how does that fit into your marketing plan? Is it important for you? Are you spending more money on it? And does it really sell insurance? Those little squares that no one seems to click on?
Well, first of all, people click on them, okay? And
you're telling us that.
I put a television ad out there, and I don't know how many people are actually in the market at that moment to buy my insurance that are watching that program. However, I do so because it's a mass medium versus when I start going the programmatic route and I start looking at contextual targeting, when I start looking at behavioral targeting, I'm that much closer to finding people who are that much closer to wanting to buy my product. When I know someone has just been on Cars.com or Cars Direct or Yahoo Autos or eBay Motors, and I can find them somewhere else on the web when they're looking up their fantasy football scores or whether they're finding out the lyrics to some song that their kid
but
wants
that's
to
a
find.
case for retargeting a bit. That's a little bit of a case for retargeting than it is for just using online display in its traditional manner.
Absolutely, yes. It's the argument for programmatic. Display, buying, we buy we're one of the sponsors of fantasy football on CBS Interactive. And, we do that. We buy specific display because we know we have a specific message that we want to get to the football audience because we're partners with Aaron Rodgers. We're doing a lot of stuff around pro football. And so we want to reach them in that environment because the creative message makes sense in that environment. But we are, we're doing less and less of buying specific display sites versus what we're able to do on the programmatic side because programmatic is that much cheaper. So when we get to the argument about how much of it is wasted, well, if I was paying $50 CPMs and now I'm paying $5 or I'm paying $5 and now I'm paying 50 cents, well, if I lose half of it, I actually don't mind because it's still less than what I was paying when I was buying it direct.
So you're going broke saving money.
Actually, I'm not going broke saving money. I am saving, right. I am actually saving money and I can bring my display budget down because and again, who knows what the arguments are. We were one of the ones quoted in the article about, in the Wall Street Journal. And we're like, well, wait a second. The writer had to have gone to the site. So that means we were following the writer. We might have been following the writer because we wanted to follow that person. So they happened to be on the site. They saw the ad. It's not, how do you know when somebody doesn't see an ad?
And then, Mr. Tass, you should talk about this because you know about as much about this and spend about as much money in this space as anybody in the country. So talk for a second about how is online display and is it building your business? Is it the best thing that's happened to JPMorgan Chase? And how does online display fit into your marketing plans?
I want to say, and you're going to quote me, I know, so I'm going to try to word it so that I don't get in trouble, but something along the lines of 5 years ago, in our credit card business, digital was less than 10%. Today, it's over 60% of its value bringing to our business. So digital is such a key piece of our overall marketing. And I think that what I want to, I sense a tonality in your question, David, that I'm going to try to change. First of all, I want to say that data is the foundation of every one of my digital impressions. So everybody gets zeroed in on retargeting of the bottom of the funnel, and we obviously do that, as everybody does, because it's really smart to do. But we are targeting different phases of the funnel as we move people through their journey. And if you have a Sapphire credit card and you're in the travel category and the dining category, and we're marketing our open table partnership, we're building content of great events like Sundance and things we do, we're moving you through and using that content to deepen our experience with you, and that is data-based in a digital world. In addition, our digital does not operate independently of our television or our branches or our other channels in any shape or form, and it cannot. We need to connect the dots and make sure they're part of an integrated plan. And I think that anything where we can get better context, better experience, better data to make that experience for our customer better, we're going to do a lot more of.
All right, one last thing, and then I want to get right into get focused. A little quick lightning round after this. But Bob, I'm going to pick on you for what I think is a question that as the senior statesman in the room, you need to answer. Okay? The agencies. I mean, I'm a former agency guy. You got Phil Cowdell sitting next to you. You got Publicis and Omnicom about to combine. And I think it's no secret that a lot of people are frustrated when they call on agencies, and a lot of agencies are challenged with their margins.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the lack of transparency in online advertising? Is it okay with you? I mean, it's one of the few places where agencies can actually make a decent margin by being non-transparent. How does the ANA feel about a non-transparent marketplace?
Well, every market has to become transparent. I mean, that is a rule of thumb. In this world, everything has to be known, every decision has to be understood, and we have to be able to make decisions, as Robert said, about the data and the analytics that are supporting those types of decisions. If we don't understand it, then we shouldn't be doing it, quite frankly. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. It would be idiotic to do anything otherwise. So if it's not an open season out there where we've got what we need in order to be able to make the right decisions for our brands and businesses, we shouldn't be doing business with anybody that is not being fully
So
transparent.
the ANA's position is that you fully expect every agency to be fully transparent on price paid for online advertising.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is essentially the essence of what a partnership should be about. If you cannot trust that you're getting the right information to be able to make the right decisions for your businesses and your brands, then we shouldn't be doing business with any particular agency, and vice versa. The agencies have every expectation for the marketers to be fully transparent as well. There should be nothing that should be left on the table where we're not telling the agencies what they need to do to be able to work on our behalf, because we're expecting the agencies to evolve. We're expecting them to be at the top of their game. We're expecting them to evolve, to be able to help navigate the marketer through all of these crazy times of what technology is doing to the marketing and media landscape. So if you don't define the partnership in these days with full data, full analytics, full transparency, then to me, it's an incomplete partnership.
Okay, Mr. Cowdell, now you see it that way? You buy, I mean, you guys buy 25%, I think, of all the television time in the United States, something like that. I'm pretty close, I'm sure. And so you believe, I mean, you have a trading desk. You guys have aggregated tons of volume. You can buy media for one price, and you can give it to a client for far less than they could buy it themselves, and you can collect the difference. What's the matter with that?
Our job is to deliver value for clients, and within the relationship and the trust we have with the client. I think it's less an issue of there are certain things we don't want to disclose. I think there are some things that don't really fall into the bucket. So, for example, if we've reached out to a media owner that doesn't have a certain ad format, and we've decided to spend some of our money helping them create an ad format, or we've created content with them, and in return for that we've got some inventory, how do we put a price against that in terms of disclosure? So there are times when
I don't think it's just about price, though. I think it's about disclosure.
It's less black and white. There's always clarity on this is what the price that we engage with you, but the question sometimes is what is your net purchase price? And I think that becomes where there's, I think it's easy for a headline, but it's less complicated to explain. It's when you get to the detail of it. But I think the higher point is if you're delivering a service that drives client value and is a better service than anyone can do, and the pricing is effective and it helps drive the client business, then I think we have that mutuality that makes perfect sense. So I think sometimes we're focusing slightly on the wrong issue, and I won't use Owen's air quotes, but I think there are some sensitivities here.
Our two clients on the panel, Mr. Gold, Mr. Tass, how do you feel about your agencies not fully disclosing price?
Well, as you know, David, I'm very, very passionate about attribution. I think it's the single biggest challenge that a marketer in our industry and the media industry has. The more we have transparency around data, the better we'll be able to spend more dollars, be more effective with our marketing. I don't want to speak for my friend here, but we have zero problem paying for value as long as we can measure it and predict it and all be transparent about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, transparency is the key. I mean, certainly if the agency goes out and makes a deal where they now have inventory, we need to know that that's what's being incorporated into our buys and why, and then make sure we're paying the right price or the fair price for it, and hopefully a lower price because you got it for nothing, except your time and effort. But there are times when non-disclosure might be appropriate. It just needs to be in the open that it's non-disclosure.
So open non-transparency.
No, open non-transparency, exactly.
All right, let's do some quick, we've got some time left. Let's do a little quick lightning round so people can get to know you guys a little bit more. I'll ask you some quick questions, and I'm looking for one-word answers or one-sentence answers, and we're going to try to get to know you as business professionals as well as people. I'll kind of go this way and go this way. Robert, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Toronto, Canada.
Ed, where did you grow up?
Wilmette, Illinois, northern suburb of Chicago.
Robert, where did you grow up?
Brooklyn, New York.
No kidding. And Phil, I can tell from your accent that you grew up with me in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, somewhere sort of slightly east of here, yeah, Bournemouth, seaside town in England.
Got it. And where did you go to college?
I went to college in London, University of London.
Bob.
NYU.
As my friend Tom Cruise said in Risky Business, looks like the University of Illinois.
Robert, where'd you go to school?
I did not.
You did not. Interesting. And
Hard knocks.
and tell me a bit about emails. How many emails do you answer a day? Answer a day, not get a day. Answer a day.
It's got to be over 200, maybe something like that.
You answer 200 emails a day. Ed, how many emails do you
I
answer a
probably
day?
get 150 emails between newsletters and emails, and I probably answer 75 of them.
Yeah, about 100, 150.
150 that you answer.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Phil, how many emails do you?
I've cut back a lot. I'm down to a 50 a day man now.
I have BlackBerry-itis.
Okay, let's do that. How many devices do you carry?
3.
Right now, you got 3 devices with you.
2 right now.
But
My
you carry
briefcase
3.
My briefcase.
And what are the 3? What are they?
iPad, iPhone, and BlackBerry.
Ed, how many devices do you have?
I carry one. I carry a BlackBerry.
I carry one BlackBerry, but I use an iPad and an iPhone as well.
It's nice to find the last 2 BlackBerry guys in the United States.
It's great for email.
Hey, it's great for email.
It's great for email.
You're
That's how I get
responding to
150
emails.
done.
And Phil, what device do you?
Corporately issued, so I'm going with it.
Default is the one device in the pocket, 2 other things, a Surface and a laptop when you need them for work.
So kind of go backwards. How many phone numbers do you have?
Oh, beyond 600, whatever it is, yeah.
No, I mean personal phone numbers.
Oh,
in
girls?
terms of the, for me, phone numbers, I've only probably got 5.
3.
5 phone numbers.
5?
How about you,
I've got
Bob?
3.
3 phone numbers. Ed?
I don't know, between home and here, probably 2. Or 3. 3.
2.
2.
2 devices. I think I have a home phone, but I wouldn't even know what it is.
I have one.
They made me get it.
Right, it came with a triple play.
Exactly. It wasn't double play, it was triple play.
That's right.
So if you could go back in time in history and meet one person, who would it be?
I would want to meet David Verklin. God, there's so many people. I would love to meet probably John F. Kennedy.
Okay. Ed, who'd you like to meet in history?
That's unbelievable. I don't know, Thomas Edison, I mean,
Interesting.
like that.
I was
Bob?
going to say Edison, but my second choice was Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
My grandfather.
Very interesting. And then let's go free association on let's go place-based. Phil, when you think about when you think about a place for place-based, you know, what's the first place that comes to mind for a perfect place for a screen?
For me, elevator.
Interesting.
Elevator and cab.
Ed?
Perfect place for a screen. I mean, elevator's good. I mean, gas stations are nice just because it gives you something else to do when you're just sitting there pumping gas.
That's fine. That's fine. And Robert, first place that comes
bathroom.
to the bathroom for a screen. Fascinating.
Gotta take you different.
Where he does his best work.
I do. I answer a lot
Video
of emails.
everywhere.
Will not or confirm it.
All right, let's get into some more specific. Let's get into a few in our time remaining. Some get closer into digital, some digital issues and with digital place-based. Let's talk first about standards, and I'll turn to you, Ed. You're spending of a $5 billion category. Your category, I think you told me, 60% of it is in television.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Are the guys in this room and gals in this room being held to a different standard? I mean, if you look at television, right, you've got the Nielsen ratings, you've got that kind of data, and that kind of data supporting it, and then these guys try to bring you new ideas to extend screens. Are they being asked to, you turn to them and say you want more research, you want more data on effectiveness? Are you really holding the people in this audience to an equal standard to traditional television or to a higher standard?
No, I mean, I think it is a higher standard because it's still a concept buy. Certainly some of it's measured more than others, but it's still a concept because we understand television, and television is the least accountable medium that we have. I mean, because we're putting this number of GRPs out there, but it's not like digital where I know someone clicked on it or I know that this person is actually in the market right now. And this is held to a higher standard, but they also because we talked earlier, it's in a specific place. So to sell it, you need to tell me why I need to be in that specific place. I know why I need to be on television, but why do I need to be on a television in a health club? Why do I need to be on a television at a gas station?
Robert, where at JPMorgan Chase in your operation, where does digital place-based sit? So if somebody in this room wants to pitch JPMorgan Chase with a digital place-based idea, who should they go see?
They should go see our video people.
Video.
Yes, we don't separate TV, video, digital, it's all in one. When we did our upfront recently, we did it as one integrated offering because we were trying to create efficiency of our assets. I think one of the challenges that I know you and I have spoken about is all the different devices make us do so much work to make them work. The more efficiency we can get with our assets, the better.
David, this is one of the things that we talked about at the Masters, is that the marketing organization is changing and needs to change very, very dramatically. The way we used to think of a marketing organization, just think of the old organization charts, has to be completely turned on its head. It has to be thought about in an integrated way. It has to be thought about in terms of ensuring that staff is appropriately trained, particularly in the digital arena, where survey after survey says that at least 50% of a marketing staff is not trained adequately to be able to handle anything digital these days. So where we need to go, it's more about, I think, what we need to do in order to advance the art and the science of all digital media.
Phil, you could, oh, go ahead, you want to
Can I build on that? There was Salman Amin, ex-PepsiCo, now at SCJ. I think he framed it beautifully when he said that collectively between the client and the agency, we have this sort of 4 steps that we have to go through. And the first is education. Do we understand what it is and all the dimensions? Second is cover the bases. What's current best in practice, best in class? Then we ladder up to the breakthrough ideas and innovation. And finally, what's that goal of joint business plans and really working together to drive commerce and value. Nice. But really you can't get up to the JBP if you haven't done the education. You go from education to cover the bases, best in class. You go cover the bases to breakthrough ideas, and then you elevate up. It's a very, very simple but a very fundamental construct. Right. And I think that really helps us in all of these journeys that we go together.
Now I'm going to go back to you, Phil, and then we'll see if we get some spark from the other parts of the panel. But I've been in the agency business before private equity for 35 years. And one of the things that I think I would say I saw was that innovation budgets, new ideas were often the first to go, right? And so I think you can disagree with this statement, but I could make the case that digital place-based is oftentimes the last thing to be put onto a plan, and in a days of any budget challenge, the first thing to go. Is that true? And if it is true, and I think you're going to have a hard time arguing that it isn't, why is that the case, and what can the people here in the room make a case to be able to stay on a budget in a moment of budget challenge?
Well, echoing the client's comments, it's all about the outcome and the value. Mm-hmm. So anything that delivers value should be on a plan. In terms of the mindset of the planners, I think they've got to almost do the reverse. You talked about mobile first when we talked last night. Mm-hmm. It's like get the small things first that you have to do because they're the future, and then roll into the other things later because we know how to do the others. I think we've just got to reverse the mindset and the sequence with which we lay down plans.
I got you. Okay.
Let me build on that second, Dave.
Yeah.
I think what we as an industry need to do is to really focus in on measurement. We as an industry do not have a central authority that manages measurement. We do not have a central authority that creates the appropriate standards that will allow us to be able to calibrate ROI. So the ability to understand the ROI of any particular media, and then on a cross-platform analytics basis, is I think the area where we have the most material shortfalls in this industry. When we start to gain increased level of sophistication in that area, I think we'll be able to make better marketing decisions, not so much about which media we're going to cut first, but which media we're actually going to be investing in to be able to effectively build brands.
Absolutely.
I think I said it last night. I mean, here we are 20-some years into a digitally connected world. John Wanamaker is probably still turning over in his grave saying, how is it possible that we still don't have better measurement attribution, like I said earlier? I mean, we have all these data inputs, and I think as marketers, we're now being asked and forced to figure out how to do that, how to build our own digital environments and analytics functions to be able to better understand what's working, how our customers are gaining value, how they're interacting, and how's our brand and all the different phases of the journey happening. I mean, it's overwhelming for the organization, as Bob said, and I think it requires new skills. It requires help from our partners and industry trade organizations to help us drive these standards so that we can all get to actually doing marketing.
Right. I mean, I think that these guys are both right. We definitely need standards across everything to be able to understand that the attribution question is the key, which is, what's really driving the business and how's it working down the whole purchase funnel. You're right. This stuff comes off the plan first because it's a concept. It's a nice thing to do. And the only way to make it not come off the plan first is it has to be an integral part of the plan. It has to be part of how I'm going to introduce a new campaign, how it's delivering a key audience, how it's doing something different that I have to have on my plan versus just keeping all the regular standard stuff, television, radio, online, paid search, whatever it is, which I know relatively over history has always worked.
We're almost out of time. I'm sorry, we're not going to take any questions from the audience today. We'll just finish this up. But I want to just push back on one thing, Ed. For some of us that have been in the business for a long time, there were pioneers in the business. A guy comes to mind, an agency guy that some people in the room may remember, Chuck Fruit, who made a decision to, at Anheuser-Busch to bet on this goofy sports channel that was starting in Connecticut, and the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, and of course today, because of the foresight of a advertising guy, we now have ESPN. What's it like at State Farm these days as you present up the line? Do you feel your management gets what you do? And do you feel your management is more risk adverse? Has it really not changed? What's the risk profile and the interest level of marketing and taking chances at State Farm?
I think we have a high interest in taking chances and looking at new things. I mean, we've integrated into video games. We've been, at the forefront of a number of different integrations. What we're doing on Facebook and creating content specifically for Facebook and the Facebook audience. It's not playing anywhere else. I think we're very interested in taking the risks that are appropriate. And I think as long as people understand that we're doing this while still delivering the rest of the plan. We have a budget set aside for innovation. We are looking for things. People want us to, be a technological leader because it then takes State Farm from being, excuse my expression, your parents' insurance company, which we don't want, but being somebody that is out there in the forefront of the community and out there in the forefront of technology.
Thank you so much. Last question. You used Netflix in the last 30 days?
I have.
Have you used Netflix in the last 30 days?
Yes.
Netflix last 30 days?
Yes.
Netflix in the last 30 days? Welcome to the new world. Thank you, everybody, for being so kind. Big round of applause for this panel.